What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Stereotherapy. I'm your host, Lisa, and this is episode 96. Today in the show, I was joined by my guest, Bo Baskoro. Bo wears many hats, and I think it's really cool anytime I can talk to somebody that is involved in so many cool things. And I think it really just makes for a wonderful conversation because Bo wears many hats. So I obviously on this one focused on his music, but there's so much more to Bo, and I hope you guys go check him out. All links below to go check out Bo because just a cool, special person. I was really feeling under the weather during this conversation, but the minute Bo got in the Zoom and just says, "Hey, Lisa, how's it going?" I knew it was going to be a good conversation. This was one I needed so bad. I felt so seen. I think so many others will. And I'm really excited that I get to put it out on a week like Thanksgiving. There's so much to be thankful for. And I think to hear some of these things we talk about of embracing certain things where we are in life, it's a great episode to have out Thanksgiving week. I cannot thank Bo enough. I cannot thank his manager Scott enough for sending me Bo and recommending Bo because again, I reached out to Scott and let him know this was one of my favorite conversations I've had. I felt so seen and I can't wait for you guys to hear it. So let's get into it. Here is my conversation with Bo Baskoro.
Hey, what's up, Lisa?
Hey, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Good. I'm trying to think. I'm like, you're in LA. It is dark here in New Jersey. Like, we're so dark. I'm like, in LA, it's 4 o'clock there. It looks like it's sunny.
Oh yeah, I get like it's
But one of the first questions we ask everybody, because it's so great to hear, I would love to know what are your first memories of falling in love with music?
that is a great question. Let's see. There are specifically three moments that I remember just like perfectly when I fell in love with music. Do you want all three or do you want like a specific?
You could
Okay,
do all three. Yeah, whatever. I would love to hear.
the first one is what got me into wanting to play music, which was a video game called Donkey Kong 64 for the Nintendo 64.
Yes, when I
Um,
learned this about you, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. So
oh
go
yeah,
on. Yeah.
I was a big gamer, still am, and my favorite character, Lanky Kong, he played the trombone, and whenever he
hmm
played a big riff, everything would explode, and I was like, that's so cool. So the school was coming to like do a demo of choir and band, just like extracurricular stuff. And I saw the trombone. I'm like, oh, that's the instrument that Lanky Kong plays. I need to go see if this kid knows how to play the thing. So I'm like, I walked up to him. I'm like, hey, can you play this? And I just like sing the lick just super terribly. And he says, no, I can't. And I'm like, then I have to take up this mantle. So my first exposure to music, learning how to play music was playing the trombone. The second thing was beating a video game called Final Fantasy VII. The
Oh, yes.
is like literally changed my life. And there's a specific, I mean, no spoilers, I guess, for a game that's been around for like 25 years, but that the music from that was written by composer Nobuo Uematsu, and that was a moment that I was like, I love composition, I love orchestration, and I love music. So that really got me into the composition side of it. What got me into songwriting was a TV series called Smallville, and there were two instances. One was season two, episode one. The other one was season seven, episode three. And the first one was where Clark Kent and Lana decided they shouldn't be together, and Dido White Flag was playing, and I was like, this is so sad.
Mhm.
I think I want to make people sad. So I started writing sad songs because of Smallville.
Oh, that I love all that. Like when I was doing a little bit of research on you, I was like, oh my gosh, Lanky Kong was my favorite. Oddly enough, I didn't go the route musically, but Lanky Kong, something about his big belly and the overalls, and just even like the boat blowing in the bubble. Like I remember, it's just his little like how he would do it, and just his little like with his big arms and just
Lanky arms and this jump roping.
oh my gosh, he was amazing. Like he was hands down, I think out of that game, I'm like, that is my favorite character. I love this video game. I'm a huge Donkey Kong fan. So like when I heard that, I was like, I've never heard anyone talk about we've had a couple of people talk about video games and maybe that's how that led them on their journey and music and for that, but not like Donkey Kong, you know? And so
No,
like to hear
no
that, I
way.
was like, the DK rap. I mean, come on, how can
DK
we?
rap. Oh, Donkey Kong is dude. That.
Oh,
Thank you. Thank you. That was so vindicating.
oh, there's so many times. I have a little nephew, and he just turned 3 and he's sort of getting into video games here and there, and he's just loves to like hang out. And when he obviously saw the Mario movie and the DK rap was in there, and I was like, I have been ready for this because I know this rap word for word, everything. And my fiance was like, how do you know this? Like you legitimately, like you know them. Like, how do you not? It is amazing. It is incredible. The DK rap is like I feel like so many people, maybe that was their entrance and they didn't even think about it, right? Just hearing that, it's
Totally.
it's amazing. In Final Fantasy, my fiance would be freaking out because he's a huge Final Fantasy fan.
Oh,
Obviously, Final Fantasy 7, he has got like the Sephiroth and Cloud tattoo on his arm. Like
awesome.
he is like in love with that. And he's always told me how video game music is so important and so many people may overlook it and not think about it like in our musical world like we think about like just a song or a musician but it's like that music is so important and like that's why it's so amazing to have someone like you say that and also like probably a lot of other people are like I'm just going to be so vindicated. I know my fiance is probably listening upstairs like oh my gosh Final Fantasy 7 yes there's something there.
Definitely. I actually just beat the second remake of Seven. They're doing a remake right now, and I just beat the second installment of it, and I've been unwell all weekend. So,
Ooh.
oh, it's so good. So I appreciate your fiance, which also congratulations on.
Oh, thank you. Yes, everybody always asks us too because I'm like, it's been a long time. Like we're one of those people that have been engaged for years, but like we are there. We're gonna get there. But at least we got that part down. And it's like we've been together for like I originally am from Illinois, Chicago, and then we met on Instagram. And then he was in New Jersey. So it was like, you know what? I want to do music and all that. You have to either go to LA or the East
Mm,
Coast.
right.
Okay, let's see where this goes. And my life just ended up, I'm like, here I am in New Jersey now. And so yeah, oh, but thank you so much. And I know you're in LA right now, but originally from Portland. So
Yes.
how was that transition? Because I've never been to either, or I've been to LA. I've been to LA, but I've never been to Portland. What I can imagine very, very different spaces, energies. For you, what was that transition like for you?
That's a really good question. The transition was at first, I had a really hard time because when I told people that I wanted to move to Los Angeles, a lot of my friends in Portland were like, "Why would you do that? Why go to LA? The people in LA are terrible. They are self-centered, they're so fake, and they only think of themselves and they're so entitled." And they just listed off all these things that just don't sound attractive in character. And I have a lot of I developed a lot of social anxiety in the last few years. So that was really hard for me to be in a new place and environment on my own. And so the first moment being here, I lived in a studio for a little bit and was talking to my psychiatrist, and she was saying, I was telling her about this thing, and she was like, "Well, how long have you been an adult, and how many times has this thing that you're afraid of ever happened?" And she ran some numbers, and she was like, "Okay," she literally ran numbers on a calculator, and she's like, "Okay, so this fear you have has a 1 in 10,000th of a chance of ever happening again. And even if it did happen, and then just listed off these reasons why this isn't a thing to be afraid of in the first place." That kind of just like the fact that she put numbers to it really helped me kind of calm my nerves. But then once I finally stepped out and started meeting people, I have never felt more inspired and motivated and supported by people almost ever. And it's so funny because all those descriptions of people, of the way that, people were describing the people down here, it was the complete opposite for me. And maybe I've gotten lucky because I hear that a lot, but everyone I've met has been so kind to me, even if it's fake. I'm like, I'm having a great time, and even if we don't see each other again, at least you went out of your way to be kind.
Mhm.
And the people that I do know are supportive. They're motivated. They don't have time to be wasting on like trivial petty things because they're driven and they're pursuing their aspirations. And I feel like, to sum it up, it was such a nice breath of fresh air because I feel like being in Portland for so long, you understand that culture so well, you think that that's the rest of the world, and it becomes kind of isolating because I felt really alone up there, and I felt really like, okay, this is the ceiling that I just keep hitting. And there's not really a lot of resources, there aren't really a lot of resources for growth, and there's not a lot of space for collaboration, because most people just want to do things on their own, or they're feeling really apathetic. And basically, what I came to deduce was that everything that people were saying was terrible about people in LA was kind of, unfortunately, what I noticed in Portland and the people of the characteristics of Portland. And so, to answer your question, Lisa, I
Yeah.
just feel like it was just it was the best decision I could have made in with for my career at this point.
Yeah, I can so resonate with that because when I originally visited LA, gosh, it was years ago, but when I did, it was like, all right, I'm either going to go to LA or New York.
Mhm.
And me, I will say, like the time I had a friend, oh gosh, where were they? I want to say Simi Valley. So we would travel and we went to LA. And I'm like, I just felt like reason I wanted to be out there is what you're describing. Like creatively, I'm like, I can kind of find like my people. Not that I didn't have my people in Illinois where I was about 30 minutes from Chicago, but it just everybody said certain things. But at the time I was like, oh, it's so expensive. I can't do this. I can't do that. But you do hear that a lot about LA. And I'll say the some of the people we've had on, we just had a band on. They're kind of like a grunge like alternative rock band, Orange County, LA area. And some of the kindest guests I've had on, like, and more like, hey, we want to help you grow. Here's what you should do. Here's how we market us. Here's what we recommend. And just so helpful. So I can hear that even in some of the guests I've had in the area of that part of California to be like, those are some of the most helpful people I've had on here that like want to see people win. I can hear that in what
Yeah.
you just said. And I'm like, it makes sense to me now why those are the people that are like, oh yeah, like this is what I do. Here's a little secret. Try this, try that. And like, it seems like
Yeah.
there's that community aspect.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it's the community aspect, and also being down here, you don't really, it's oversaturated, I would say, with opportunity, but also it's oversaturated with competition.
Hmm.
But I think that the competition is like, it's not in negative context, or not like there's not the negative aspect to it that I think a lot of people think. And I think because there's just so much work that's happening, if you're not working, you want to be working, and if you move here, if you're moving here, it's because you want to be working. And I feel like it's just a bunch of driven, hungry people that want to be creative. And so everyone's happy, and everyone's happy to collaborate, and everyone wants to succeed, but you don't really get to succeed unless you're helping other people succeed here, is how I've experienced it. And I've been on the under the influence of the idea that you don't shine brighter by putting other people's light out. You gas them up because that is in turn, or I guess a better analogy is all a high rise rises all ships, and high tide rises all ships. And I think that it's just such a collaborative city that you can't really succeed without other people's help. And I think that's something I'm also learning too, is how to ask for help, because in
Hmm.
Portland it was all by myself, and now that I'm here, it's like there's a resource for everything, and there's access to so many things to learn and grow and progress. And so taking advantage of that and learning from other people and asking for help is the only way you're going to move forward. And I think that it's so great that people want to, because they understand, and they also are just enjoying the fact of, or they enjoy the opportunity to be creative and help other people be creative.
Oh, right. Oh, I'm sure. I mean, even like just hearing like even everybody told me too, moving to the East Coast and towards New York, they're like, oh, the same thing about people. And I'm like, it has helped me grow so much as wanting to do this and work in music and kind of get that thick skin. And I felt like I loved Chicago. I loved my time there, but it really truly, again, much like you're talking about LA, out here is really like the amount of people I've met in the circles and going to like the Asbury Park area here and just learning and having people, okay, here's what we do, or here's how to do it, or here's who we recommend to talk to, or this and that. And it's like, yeah, like that's what I want to be around. And I love what you said about like, not shining, not kind of dimming the light on others. It's just, it's how you grow. And I love that so much because I think so many people, it's like, in music and entertainment, everybody wants to get to the top, but it's like, we shouldn't be dimming other people's light to get there. Like, I never am that way. I'm always like, how can I help you? Who can I help? Anyone that wants to do a podcast, or like if I hear like somebody music wise or like a guest like you where I'm like, they have such a great story. I want to talk to them. Just keeping that along the way and keeping that message. It's, oh my gosh. Yeah, I love what you just said.
Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's one of those things too, like listening to your music. One of the songs that I resonated with was One of Those Nights. And it was one of those things for me because I think there is not one person that probably can't listen to that and think, I've been there. I've had one of those nights and days, maybe both, right? One
Yeah.
of those days and nights. But it's like, and we've all had that where maybe we're self-doubt and just so many things. How do you manage that in your own life if you're having one of those nights? And I know that's such a hard question because it's
Oh
like,
my
how
God.
do
That's
you
a
balance
fantastic
that?
question. That's why I wrote this song. Yeah, man, it's tough because um I had to I started the concept came from me from me I mean literally my insomnia, but the thing that kept waking me, I literally would be waking up from these dreams of all these regrets I had, which I feel like a lot of people are like, I want to live with no regrets. And I'm like, oh, yo, I got plenty of those though.
Mhm.
Um, I think for me, I was struggling with this feeling that I was being pulled to something new in my life, and the fact that I hadn't accomplished the goals that I have always wanted to was just eating me up because I would see people, I see people accomplishing their goals, and I have the privilege of being able to cheer them on, but there's also an aspect of what am I doing wrong? And I think a lot of people, I think a lot of creatives that have big goals and aspirations, they feel like that. And um, I think that for me, I felt like I was really isolated and held back. And that was part of why I felt like I needed to move out of this town because I think I had reached my limit of the things that I could learn there. So I was really beating myself up about that because I was like, I didn't do this sooner. And even now, this week I was dealing with this where I'd wake up from, different dreams or different thoughts, or I'd be kept up by these thoughts of nostalgia and things I miss or decisions I never made. And I think the thing that I've been navigating with, to your question, Lisa, is I have to remind myself that I couldn't have done this at any other time. And all of the pain and all of the frustration and all the effort and energy I put into music or all my goals has led me to the experiences and the skills that I have now. And had I moved here sooner, had I done anything else sooner, it just would not have worked. It wouldn't have been sustainable. It wouldn't have been efficient, and I wouldn't have lasted as long as I haven't even been here a year yet, and I've been able to get plugged in, and I've been able to be uh, helpful where I can, and I've been able to afford living here because I wouldn't have had the money if I came down here any sooner. So I just have to keep reminding myself that it's like there were so many paths I could have taken, but this was the one, and it's the right one. And it's the right one because I chose it, and there's nothing else I can change about it now, but I can change what happens next. And so to answer your question, yeah, like bringing it around, I think navigating it has been really hard, but I think telling myself it couldn't have been any other way, and it has to go this way because it's already we've everything has led to this moment. And so not just letting go of the past. I think that's a better way to say it. For me, I'm resentful and I hang on to the past really easily, and I think that's what holds me back. And I can't be living in the past because you're not going to grow and you're not going to progress that way. So I think telling myself let go, let go, let go is really important for me. Sorry, that was really wordy.
No, but I love that because it's yeah, I can really resonate with that. There's so many moments like being in my 30s where I feel like I'm falling behind. I'm not there yet. And it's like trying to understand again, you have all these different paths you could have taken. And, even me, I try to always tell myself, there's a reason I'm supposed to be doing whatever I'm doing right now in this moment. And maybe I'm not XYZ, but even those people that I think have it all together or they're on a right path, maybe they think the same thing as me. Like, hey, maybe they're behind in something else. Like we're all trying to get to whatever, I don't know, like inner
And
peace or something
yeah,
like that.
yeah, and I've had so many people that are like, "Man, you're so successful and you've done so much," and I'm like really frustrated because I something that's been on my back or my shoulders lately has been that I will tell my friends like, "Yeah, I've accomplished a lot. I haven't accomplished my goals though. I've done a lot," and I think that a lot of people mistake movement for progress, and I think that it's hard because you can make the appearance look great, but whatever is happening, you could be other, people are comparing each other, people are holding themselves to different standards. Lisa, have you ever been told or have you ever thought I have to accomplish this before I'm 30?
Oh, yes.
Or
Oh,
that's so crazy because like sometimes it just is the way it is. Like you can't expect anything other than, you can't expect that. And like it's like a doctor saying, "Well, I've got to accomplish get my doctorate before this." It's like, no, you have the course that you have to do. And with something like creative goals or just any other kind of goals that has like a very uncertain like time frame, you can't be like, it has to happen before this time.
oh,
um and it's
yes.
tough because then you set yourself up for these really unfortunate stressful standards. And I've seen people that have accomplished things before they were 30, and then I know people that haven't. But it's like the point is the goal, not the time frame, right? Like if you're really passionate about that goal, I don't think it matters about when. It's just that that that's the goal, and that it's going to happen eventually, and that's the hope, and that's like that's the fulfillment of creativity, is that you have it in the first place. If that makes any sense.
Oh my God, it does. No, it's so true. I'm like, I was that person. I was like, okay, I need to be married and have a kid by 30 because they're telling me my clock. And here I am, like in my mid 30s, and I'm like, listen, like I go to my doctor and be like, is everything good? Is everything all right? And they're like, why are you freaking out? Like, yes, stop listening to everybody, turn that off. And it's okay that you're not. But I was that person. And every year my birthday came, I would be that person of like, I don't want to celebrate it. I'm not here. I'm not there yet. And not realizing that like real life things have affected those paths. And, even like my fiance a couple years ago, he was in a horrible work related accident. He was electric lineman apprentice and they'd work on like the power lines and everything. There was one mistake to where he almost didn't survive it. It was like 36,000 volts of electricity. Ended up, amputations of like fingers and toes, 40 days in a burn unit, just you name it. And
Wow.
we're finally, I mean, all the rehab he's done, he is on the up and up. And it's like amazing to see where he is today.
Yeah.
But it's like I have to like almost give myself that grace where, and the reason why I tell that story about him at times is like I always have to give my grace of like, hey, you essentially lost 4.5 years of your lives trying to rehab and get him good. I was his caretaker and doing all that. And like that's what life is. So like, yes, I didn't hit that mark at 30, but there were paths and reasons for that to why, and just give myself that grace of like, there's probably someone else out there listening to this, like maybe they had an accident or maybe they had, just health or job loss or whatever. There's a reason why maybe I didn't hit that mark and give myself that grace. And I think we all have to. And like, don't make ourselves feel bad if we're a certain age and we're not there. It doesn't mean we're never going to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that like man, I remember when I was a kid, I was like I got to be married by 21.
Yep.
What? And be in
Yeah.
a house and have a family by 25?
Yes.
I know 25-year-olds.
Yeah.
You think that no. So I am there I think there's two ways of looking at it. It's that you have no control of what's happening outside of who you are and the decisions you make. So you can't beat yourself up and say, I was supposed to do this by this time because you have no control. And letting go of that is really freeing. The other side is holding yourself back and fear. And that's something for me is I've had kind of like this standard where if I'm afraid of something, I have to face it or I have to do it. And and it's really annoying because if I'm like, oh,
Mm.
I'm scared, I'm like, no, I gotta
Yeah.
do it. So, but that's because for so long I've been like, I'm afraid to move to another place. I'm afraid to socialize. I'm afraid to apply for this. I'm afraid to ask for help. And I think if you are holding yourself back, you're responsible for keeping yourself accountable. So I think the only time it's frustrating is if it's like because you're holding yourself back. And the thing is, you also have to realize that there's no growth in the comfort zone. And if you're not growing by the laws of physics, you're dying. And I think that that's just really important to see it that way. Not being kind to yourself and trying to take steps. And it can be hard, and even when it's scary. And so it's like letting go of that control is really important, and being kind to yourself and saying, okay, well, for me, I was like, I should have done this so much sooner, but it's like, okay, well, I didn't. And
Mhm.
I was afraid. So what am I going to do now? And it's really important to not like beat yourself up over it. Just like push yourself. I don't know. I don't know.
No, it's so true because I myself, I'm like, I suffer from social anxiety. And the longest time I could not, I always wanted to do a podcast and I couldn't do it because I was letting that fear hold me back. That same thing, like, how can I get on a Zoom with people? Sometimes I don't even want to like talk on the phone, right? How do I get in a Zoom with people that I don't know and have a conversation? Like, like, the heck am I going to do that? How am I going to be able to do that? And
Yeah.
when I finally did it, and then a couple times, and then more and more people, and I'm like, "Oh, see?" Like, again, like, I'm every time I'm like, I hop on here, I'm like, I'm not letting the anxiety win, I'm not letting it do it, and I'm doing that, and it always feels so much better where I'm like, "Wow, a year ago would I do that?" Or like, 2 years ago, this podcast, gosh, is 2 years old, but, like, that time,
Yeah.
how why was I so afraid? Like, what and then I'm always like, I get it, and I have anxiety, and it's part of my life, it's part of who I am, but it's like I was missing out on so much stuff because I was afraid of doing it, and I think it's
Opportunities.
so important to say that because it's like, you can't I know it's easier said than done for some people, but if you go into that fear, I'm like so many people when I talk to them, they're like, "Oh, no way would you have anxiety. No way would you do this." Then what are we talking about mental health? Everybody, you never know the person next to you, what they're battling and in
Everyone.
silence.
Yeah, man. I can't tell you how many times I did not realize people thought that I was a confident person, and I
Mhm.
struggle so much. I have a question for you, Lisa. How long
Yeah.
have you had social anxiety?
Ooh, well, when I found out I had it, I was in my late 20s, but looking back, I had
Right.
it I had it as a teen and high school. I had it in so many ways. I was that friend where if I would get really anxious also about the parking situation and my anxiety,
Just leave, right?
I would either leave or make up a story, "Oh, my car doesn't start." How many people would tell me, "Lisa, what's wrong with your car? Why is your car never starting?" Because it was just anxious and I miss out on all this stuff, but I would literally just leave this. There's still moments it le thank thank God for my fiancé, and when I met him and explained to him because there's so many moments we'd walk into a big thing and I'm like, "I'm just not feeling this." Like, "Oh my gosh," like, "I don't know what to do." But I'm always happy I stuck it out, but, like, my whole life I've had this, and there just wasn't mental health conversation out
Wasn't
there.
that kind of conversation. There wasn't that kind of awareness
No.
long time, I think. And yeah, I think I've dealt with the same thing, and I think it goes back to what I said before about having that pushing yourself. It takes courage, and courage is doing everything afraid. It's doing that thing, but doing it afraid, and there's always a reward afterwards. Ah, that's actually not true. I think generally speaking, there is a reward. There's some kind of reward at the end, and it's you're always proud of yourself at least afterwards because you did it. You tried it. So how long have you wanted to do a podcast then?
Oh my gosh. And we even work, it started as always wanted to do like interview bands or interview people. I've always wanted to do that. So
Yeah.
then once podcasting, I'd say like 4 or 5 years ago, there was like on the rise. Now, like everybody just go buy a mic. Now everybody's doing it. But I would say before I started it, a good 2 years. So this has been going on for 2 years. So probably, yeah, like 4 years. I just wasn't gonna do it because I was like, well, I can't do that. Or I can't get on here with someone I don't know. I can't. And it was like, how can I not? I was that kid when I was younger wanting to do it, would like practice with my hairbrush and my mirror and be like asking questions, like fake questions for MTV. Like, I want to do this. And
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I was just going to say how fascinating it is that someone with social anxiety wants to do one of the most social jobs I've seen, which is hosting a show.
yeah.
So, and you did it. You got yourself to this point. So good on you, man. That's
Oh,
but that just goes to show that like once you push yourself to that out of that comfort zone, it starts to become more comfortable and you just keep pushing yourself to the next thing. Fulfilling and rewarding.
oh, yeah. I mean, I used to always get even sometimes like I'm like TMI forever. I used to get sick before. Like I knew I was like so excited about each guest. I would get like physically sick about it. And I'd be like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Now it's like any other day now. I'm like, okay, great. I have this great conversation. I'm ready for this. I'm so excited about this conversation. I've never in the past year finally, but that first year was rough. I was like, I was always sick before it, always feeling weird. And like, it'd be 10 o'clock. Okay, I have somebody at 7. And like, okay, now it's 6, now it's 5. And now I don't think that anymore. So like whether it's me managing that anxiety or that just like, you know what? I'm not afraid of that anymore. That's not a fear. That's not a trigger of mine. But it's wild how mental health could have prevented me from doing this and having this conversation. And it just, that's what's crazy to me about mental health and thinking all of us that battle it, what we go through.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's like, so for you, obviously the podcast is music and mental health. I would love to know how, whether it's your music or someone's music, how has that been in aid to your mental health? How has it helped you?
Time to ask that question because I just beat Final Fantasy VII Rebirth
There we go.
and I have noticed right now the only thing that I'm listening to is one of the saddest moment. It's the soundtrack for Rebirth. It's the saddest moment in the game. And what I'm noticing is for music, I think it kind of also goes back to the that episode of Smallville that was sad for me. I was feeling sad, and what music was doing was helping me feel that sadness in a way that was commiserating because it made me feel like I wasn't alone in feeling like this. And this piece really it's just entertainment in general. It's that it was the acting, it was the voice acting, it was the illustration, it was the music that made me feel the way that I felt in this game, but also in this episode or this movie. You go to feel these things, and what I've noticed is when I'm listening to music, it's for one of three things. It's during my workout when I want to feel driven. It's during when I want to feel hyped up and energized, and it's when I want to feel like I'm actually being understood and I want to feel that pain because I feel like that pain brings something out of you that creates something new and creates something good. And it helps you, like those sad moments help me reassess, am I doing the right thing, and what in my life could be changed so I feel happier. It kind of, I don't know why. It's a weird thing. I like to feel that. Not like I like to feel sad, but I like to feel where I feel like the commiseration brings up different pain that makes you reassess. It's kind of like, I don't know if you're familiar with EMDR. Um,
No.
EMDR is eye motion desensitization and reprocessing. It's where a therapist has a light bar in front of you and you're watching this light go back and forth while you're listening to a beep, 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 and or tapping. And what you're doing is you're focusing on different parts of your body that are being triggered because it's helping you reprocess certain traumas. This is for people with PTSD. And I went through that, and what would happen is certain parts of your body start to react, and you start to focus on that part of your body, and how does that make you feel? Why do you feel like that? What memories is it bringing up? And it starts unlocking all these like suppressed feelings or suppressed memories about certain scenarios or situations. And I feel like music for me has a similar effect, especially when you're driving. It's kind of like the poor man's EMDR,
Hmm.
because you're keeping your eyes on the road and you're hearing this music, and you're just all you're doing is sitting in your body and feeling like, okay, this hurts in my chest and my arms. When else have I felt that? And then you start like drawing parallels of this pain to something else in your life. And I think that that's really helpful for me to process different things I've experienced or different desires of mine, and helps me like get down to this like, it almost helps me lock into what do I want for myself, what did not work, what hurt, and how do I want to move forward now. So to answer your question, I think that for my mental health, I think that listening to sad music, listening to music helps me fully be honest with myself and honest with my pain and honest with my emotions and what I'm feeling, and helps me come to reality and encourages me to take the steps I need to take in order to be the kind of person I want to be.
Oh, oh my gosh. I'm like, is Instagram gonna let me put that in a big reel? No, no, they're only gonna give me a minute 30 for that. So we'll have this. That is so beautiful, such a beautiful way to put it. And I know I resonated with that as you're saying that. I know so
That
many
kind of
other
came off the
people
dome. I kind of was just feeling it. I'd never thought of that before.
that is just, and I think I can resonate with that so much because I find myself so many moments when I'm in the car. And just, I mean, just whenever I'm feeling something, I know, okay, I'm going to put on this artist. I'm going to put on this. I want to feel this. I know this artist is going to give me this. And just letting that be and feeling those emotions where maybe like if I don't want to talk about that or I don't think I can talk about it, but I can feel it and process it through a specific artist. And I just think that that's what's so beautiful about music. And there is that intersection of music and mental health so much and so much more. When I started doing the podcast, it was like, wow, like each person, like what you just put, or what so and so put, or like the last person, and just each way we all process it through music, and we're able to process those emotions. And I think it's just such a beautiful thing. And I love, I'm like, I just need to clip that for myself. Like I just need that for myself. Listen
I
to
kind of need
this.
it for me. Yeah, you send me that clip because I'm gonna need to
Yeah.
listen to that for myself.
Oh my gosh. Oh, so great. Like you've said so many great things. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so good. This is like my little therapy right now. This is
This is
perfect. And
awesome.
one question we also like to ask too is obviously music we just talked about, but what other, I guess if you would call them like tools, what other tools do you use for your mental health to help you? Some people say like journaling, working out is a huge one. I know for myself, but
Yeah.
is there anything you do when you know you're going through a rut in mental health to kind of help yourself when you feel you're going through those mental health ruts?
Um, that's a really good question. Well, okay, so I think gym exercise is really important for actually exercise is almost one of the most important things for me. I That's part of my routine every day. If I'm not at the gym, I need to do some sort of movement. If it's Pilates, I'm a Pilates girly now. Or if it's yoga. My thing is I grew up doing martial arts, and before I moved down here, I was doing Eskrima, Jiu-Jitsu, and Muay Thai. It's not really a gym that does that anymore here, doing all three. And so I'll like hit the heavy bag, or I'll just train. Right now, I'm training in wushu and practicing certain weapons. I do tonfa as well and eskrima sticks, and so being able to be active in that kind of capacity is really helpful for me because I think what happens for a lot of people, you notice it in the after the pandemic, you become so sedentary that your body your body is feeling what your brain is feeling. And I think that if you aren't getting the movement that you need and your blood to flow that way, it continues to build up and fester. Similar to, I would almost draw a parallel to resentment and communication, and how like if you aren't communicating how you feel to somebody, then it starts to just like sit there and fester and start to build up, and then you just have resentment and despise. And I think that your mental health and your body kind of do the same thing to each other, where if you're not moving, you can't, it just continues to build this, like your body kind of builds this resentment towards you because you're not treating it well. And I think this is the first step to, I think this can be your body being one of the first steps to your body health being one of the first steps to your mental health. I think that body health and mental health are equivalent to each other's significance. Was articulated well.
No, that was and that's so true because I found myself over the last couple months, I wasn't taking care of myself, and I know I was going through it, so I was like, "What,"
Yeah.
but I always had it in my routine, whether it was a walk, lift some weights, do what you can, and now, the last few months, not doing it. Now I'm back. I've been back at it for a month, and
That's
how much better
yeah.
I am that I'm like, no, this is your time. You're going to do this. You're going to don't just like, sit on the couch and rot. Don't do that. That's not, yes, you may feel that way. But when I started that movement back and doing that, it was almost like my body was like, all right, thank you. Thank you for that. We're going to ease up on some of the other stuff. Obviously, you're not cured, but it's a way to management. And I've always said, like, hey, like, I'm going to manage this, like movement, weights, all this. And then when I wasn't doing it, I was like, my body was like, yeah, like, look at you. You're not doing it.
Feels lacking. Yeah,
And
yeah.
you just, I
You know what?
felt,
I started in the last couple weeks started doing a nightly stretch routine, and I
mhm,
think that that motion has helped me the most with my mental health because, like, bro, we can walk and we like it's something that we don't do normally. And for me, I think walking is really important, but we do that literally all the time. So having something outside of the box of what your body is used to is so good for feeling like, oh, I'm a human being and I'm capable, and I'm teaching my body how to do these things. So if my body can learn how to do this, how can my perspective start to change? Neuroplasticity, like this is a
mhm,
representation of your mental health. And I think that's the same as like cleaning your room. The state of my room and my car and my bathroom is a representation of how I'm doing mentally. So if you start
mhm.
seeing crazy clutter, someone should probably, it's a sign. It's a sign. And
Yes.
I feel like your body's the same way with your mental health.
Oh, that's so true with the car and just that. And that's where it's like, I know when I was a teen, my mental health was not the greatest. When I think about my room, what did my car look, or even my desk at school, right? Like you think about that, even back then, what did it look like? And every time I notice I'm going through it, yeah, my house is, I'm not making my bed, or my house has like these little piles here and there and this and that. And it's like, what am I doing?
Yeah,
And
and think
that's
about
usually my
how
first sign. It's getting, hey, it's getting bad again. Like let's
yeah.
process this.
And even beyond that, like how it feels to have something clean, you're like, oh, yeah,
Oh,
love it, And I
oh my
think that
gosh.
some people look at it and like,
Mhm.
that's not true, or that's not effective. But I bet you,
Mhm.
for me, I have ADHD, so having any kind of routine makes me feel so much more in control. And when I stick to that routine, um, like making the bed, cleaning the floors, cleaning up things, you feel more in control. And especially for people with ADHD, I think that it's just so helpful for your mental health. So I think back to like the body health, taking care of that, you feel more in control of yourself and your body. and that helps you become more in control with your mind, in
Yeah.
my in my
Oh,
perspective.
oh, yeah, and that's just the other thing, like, even, like, the gut-brain connection people talk about all the time, your gut health, and I tell people all the time, I feel like and this is where, like, anyone listening is gonna be like, "Oh, like, be quiet about that," because like, some people don't like to hear it, but it's so true as much as you don't wanna hear it. When I take care of myself on the inside, again, your body, right? Your gut health, I am so less anxious. I am just a better person when I am okay, and I'm putting certain things in my body, and I'm like, there's so many people again, it's not gonna cure it, I'm not gonna tell anyone, "Hey, you're gonna be cured," but it is managed so much when I've started taking care of my gut health and prioritizing, like, what am I putting into my body? What am I feeling? My mental health has been so much better than like, "Oh, here's some candy, here's some whatever." I mean, that's great, candy's great too, but,
Shouldn't be
like,
afraid of it, but
no.
know what it does to you. Because like I don't feel good. I love my cheat meals, believe me,
Mhm. Oh,
but
same.
I know what I'm emotionally preparing for.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you
Oh.
know that this is not going to feel like the more of that you're putting into yourself, the more it's affecting your body. It's I feel like you're again the body health and the mental health. I think that they are two sides of the same coin, and both in both ways, what you're putting into it, what you're feeding it is going to affect the other side of that coin.
Yeah. And it's something again, I'm so glad we brought that up because every time someone brings it up, I'm like, see, there's somebody else out there that thinks that I'm not alone in this. This is so great. And it's wild to think about we are basically on the door of 2025. We are here. Is there anything you have that you can talk about that you're excited that's going to go on for you?
Yeah, I'm really excited. Well, one thing I'm really excited about is that I'm just going to be living down here more consistent. Like every month since I've been down here, I have gone back to Portland for work and back down here. I've worked down here, up there, like every month, or I've traveled for work. So it'll be nice to just like be here and lock in and build a community here. I have we have new music coming out, and honestly, I think I'm really excited because I have been gone for so long, just traveling for work and stuff that I hadn't been able to, and I've been juggling so much that I haven't been able to. I'm carrying this. This is a tripod. I haven't been able to like figure out what my priorities are and figure out what the next steps are for me. And I think I finally got an opportunity to think about it. And so right now, I've been really prioritizing a lot of. I do voice acting as well, and so prioritizing that is going to be it's really exciting. And I think having more songwriting sessions with other artists, meeting new people. I have new music coming out. We have more cinematic stuff. I have also composed, and so that's it's really exciting to be able to lock in on that. But I think the biggest thing is just making progress, being consistent in progress. I'm really excited for it, and I don't know. I always think about like, yeah, new year, new me. I was just talking to some buddies about this because I've never had a New Year's resolution. Because for me, I'm like, well, just change it now, or just like
Mhm.
work on it now. And
Yeah.
so it was only this last week that or last couple weeks that I've been like diving into what's the next goal and how are we pursuing that. And I think just getting more involved here, making friends and having like people down here that I can um, share similar passions with is the biggest thing for me. But for listeners and anyone who's interested in like me as a person, I think there's more music coming out and there's more collaborations, and you might end up hearing me on a new anime coming out, or see me on a commercial or a show. We'll see what happens, but yeah, I'm really excited to just get more creative.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm like, yeah, I'm like, I can't even believe like yeah, 2025 is here. Like, we are
I don't like
here.
it. I
Like,
don't like that.
I'm like, "Oh my god, where" I felt like it was just 2020, like, a year ago. Where are we? Where are we now? And, oh my god,
Yeah.
that's so exciting, but if someone I'm gonna post all the links everywhere for everyone to find you because I want them to go find you.
Thanks.
But if someone wants to listen, where is the best place that you would recommend people to go find you?
Best place. Okay, so I mean it's subjective to what platform you're using, but I'm
Right.
on everything, and I'm the only Bo Baskoro in the world, so it's easy to find on Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Music, iTunes, Tidal, Deezer. Uh, I don't know what other kind of music platform,
Right.
Pandora.
Yeah. I'm like, where would we have Pandora these days? Yeah.
All the links, man.
Awesome. Oh my gosh. Oh, but this has been so great. Like I knew again, looking into you and just who you were, I was like, this is going to be such a great conversation. This is going to be such a good one. Thank you so much for sharing things about your mental health because, again, it's not
Oh,
always
I'm an open
easy,
book.
but this has been perfect. And I just appreciate you taking time for us today. Like, it truly, this is like such a good one.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. No, it means so much to be able to be on this and talk about things that we share in common. And
Yeah. It's
so, yeah, thanks for
wild.
making.
I'm like, now I feel less alone. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's somebody else out there that
Oh
has
yeah.
these same
Well,
feelings. And that's what it's about, right?
yeah, definitely, definitely. Well, Lisa, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much.
Right, guys, that was my conversation with Bo. Again, there were so many takeaways. I cannot thank Bo and Scott enough. Scott for sending Bo and Bo for this wonderful conversation. You know, if there was video to this, you would see how they're just thankful as to some of the things that were said in regards to social anxiety. It's something I struggle with so much. And to see someone else that struggles with it and can feel the weight and feel and understand what we're doing over here and how tough that can be. And we're doing it. And I think I just needed it. All links below to check out Bo. Please go check out Bo. I enjoyed every part of this conversation, especially someone that appreciates the DK rap so much because Donkey Kong is so top tier for me. It was really, really cool to learn that about Bo and everything that's ahead for Bo. All links below. So go do that. As for our show, if you are liking this thing a little bit, be sure to subscribe to our show because it truly helps us out as well as a positive rating and review. So many of you have done that. We cannot thank you enough for that and appreciate you. I hope you guys have a wonderful Thanksgiving. If you are going through anything right now, the holidays are rough for me. I know they're rough for so many people. I am sending you the biggest virtual hug ever. I mean that so much. I have been there. It is tough. The holidays are the toughest for mental health. So please just take time for yourself, whatever that is. Get yourself comfortable. Remember, holidays do not look the same for everybody. And whatever your day is to make it special, do that. I think that's so important right now and to reach out to everybody if you know they are suffering from any grief, different moving locations, say they moved, any big life event, make sure you check on in on your people. It is so important. But I hope you guys, however it looks, you have a great Thanksgiving and we will see you guys next time. All right. Bye guys.